Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Ingrid St. John, author of Haunted. Ingrid, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Paul. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you. Are you ready to get started?
Absolutely.
All right. Question number 1. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
That's a good question, Paul. My advice would be to stay committed and really follow through and write the book. And don't be afraid to write the story that you want to tell. I think it's important to be an individual author and really put your own spin on your story the way you want it to be received.
And what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
I think the hardest part with getting published is just figuring out what to do and also finding a publisher for your particular genre. I know for my book, it's a thriller, so it was a little bit of a bit daunting at first to find someone that was interested in looking at a thriller genre, because I know a lot of publishers look into romance and some horror and erotica and things like that. So you really have to find a publisher that really is interested in that particular genre and really stick with that.
And I know we were talking prior to the show. You mentioned you went the indie route. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that worked well.
Well, initially I did a pre-sale before the book went public, and that went pretty well because a lot of people use Kindle. They like ebook. They wanted something that they could just immediately put on their phone or their iPad. So that was really helpful in the beginning. I also did a Facebook Live prior to the launch of the book just to talk about the book and had, people had questions and wanted to be more, wanted more insight on the book. And I held a Facebook Live for that.
So were you doing the Facebook Live, I guess, less than an announcement type of format versus almost like an Ask Me Anything type of thing where you're like, hey, we have this book coming out. What questions do you have? That type of thing?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both. Like, hey, I'm launching my book. This is, a little tidbit of what it's about. Do you have any questions? That type of thing. Yes.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your favorite book. So what is your favorite book and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
One of my favorite books, because I have a lot and I was really trying to narrow it down. One of my favorite books is called Dark Corner by Brandon Massey. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about his book is that he was able to create an element of horror, but he was able to mix horror with a little romance between two characters that were in the book. And I really liked how he was able to meld that into a really great story from beginning to end. And the ability to mix those genres, especially if you possibly didn't write anything prior to that, like with romance and horror, and for his ability to do that so effortlessly was what caught my eye.
And for our final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
I really love Maya Angelou's quote, "Success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it."
And why is that your favorite quote?
I like it because I think it's important to really like yourself, love yourself first, but also love what you do and really pursue that no matter how long or how hard that road is, because there's a lot of people that probably have a lot of dreams in them and a lot of goals and aspirations, but out of fear or the fear of failure, don't do it. And so they live out their whole lives not pursuing what makes them happy. And so I really feel it's important that no matter what it is that you want to do, that you pursue it 100% and finish it out, and don't be afraid of failing, because failure is not being a loser. It's actually success, because you're learning from your mistakes so you can do better and keep moving forward.
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite quotes, and that's how I changed my life. It's amazing when you go out there and you pursue what you want and you're not afraid to take the plunge. It's just amazing how it can change your life.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Ingrid, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
Okay, well, I do have a website, and that is www.ingridstjohn.net. And I can also be reached on Twitter, and it's at Ingrid St. John. And I can also be reached on Facebook, which is also, it's actually backwards, saint.john.ingrid.
Ingrid, I want to thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how you can be featured in our brand new Get Published business book, go to getpublishedpodcast.com.